Then, out of
Meow.
the blue, the man started meowing, like he thought he was some sort of catman. It creeped me out, but I was still suspecting that I was getting pranked somehow, although I had no idea how any of this was supposed to be funny. Hello? What's up with you? Why don't you talk like a normal person? After I tried speaking to him, my computer screen started glitching out, and that...
Oh, you look good. Don't skip. Oh my God, skipped again. All right, who am I getting next? Boy, you're not scaring nobody. If you don't get your long chin, big tooth, skinny nose, look like you pick locks with your nose, lock picker nose, long booger, nasty booger. If you don't get your ugly face, white face, brown eyes, black eyes, I'm on you. No, I'm really cooking. You thought I was scared of you? Ain't nobody scared of you. What you gonna do? You can't do nothing to me. I got these, I promise you. Show up, you're getting this 3-knuckle shuffle.
Perfect.
But it'll never come to that. Because you don't know where I live. You don't. 3571 Branch Road? Huh? That's your address, huh? What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Vince, and today we're reacting to 3 true Omegle horror stories animated. Now, if you were a kid at one point in the modern century, I'm not talking about you, 40 and plus club. You're my mom's age. Move to the side. If you had technology growing up, you've stumbled your way upon Omegle, and you've seen some wild stuff. I'm talking about stuff that the child's eye shouldn't see. I'm scarred for life. Now, for a good time, Omegle was a thing of the past. Nobody was really going back on this site. Nobody was really like, oh, I'm this bored. Let me talk to random strangers on the internet. What? Looking back on it, that never seemed like a good idea. Like, why would I talk to strangers from my home on a computer that I own with all my personal information on it? I don't care who you are. I don't want to talk to you.
Stop the cap. You look very sexy.
Thanks. You want to see something?
I would love to.
You would? Call me mama first.
Okay, mama.
Oh! Yeah, louder.
Are you a sexy woman?
Oh! What do you want to see?
I do want to see.
I said, call me mama. Loud.
Show me, mama.
Oh! Louder.
Come on, mama.
Oh, come on! Wow. And clearly it's been a problem. People out here wilding, I don't know what they doing. They sitting here dressed as clowns, holding weapons up to the camera, calling me racist names. I'm not a monkey. What do you mean? Oh, look at this monkey that I just matched to it on Omegle. You lucky I can't reach to the screen and smack you. Ooh, let me show you a monkey. But anyway, we're just gonna hop straight into this video. It was recommended by Tanya. Tanai. My bad. Horror Shorts Party. True Omegle Horror Story 1. Narrated by Terrence Nicholson. The following stories were inspired. I couldn't read that fast enough. Try! One man, one jar. What? Where are we going with this? He better not do what I think he finna do.
I was always told that college would be this super foundational time where you have fun and form critical memory.
Cap.
But 5 years on it from now, at 27 years old, there's only one memory that sticks out. And unfortunately, it doesn't have anything to do with girls or going out and partying, but instead, something that happened on Omegle. I've always been a loner and a geek my whole life. I didn't successfully come out of my shell in college, although I wanted to. That's why I moved into the dorm rooms near my campus in the first place. I figured it'd be a great way to meet people and socialize, but I ended up getting straddled with huge room and board expenses on top of my tuition debt. I never managed to make any friends in my hall. That's how I caved in and fell back on being a parasocial weirdo through the gateway of the internet. Through Omegle more specifically.
Why is he just admitting this stuff about him? I'm not gonna lie to you. Batman couldn't beat that information out of me. I promise you he couldn't. For Gotham, you better tell me what you did on Omegle. No, I'm not telling you. You gonna have to kill me, Batman. No, get up out of here. What is he talking about? Talking about I'm a parasocial weirdo, so I got an Omegle. Bruh. Somebody lock him up.
It's a website that pairs you up with random strangers so you can text or video chat. That's where I spent most of my time trying to meet people in the online world.
That ain't
but
it.
In a lot of ways, it was more of the same of what I got in the real world. Most people skip me almost immediately. A lot of the people that I managed to have conversations with were older men, who seemed insightful at first, but then turned out to be weird and creepy.
I know what he's talking about.
There was the classic Omegle horde of people without a webcam trying to bait me to give out my ASL. But every once in a while, there was a good conversation to be had with someone who wasn't trying to seduce me. I held out hope to get paired with people like them through dealing with all the BS. One night, after I finished studying, I turned off the lights in my room so people wouldn't see it behind me. Then I hopped onto Omegle to look for a decent person to talk to. That night, more than all the others, went off to an insane start. The very first stranger I encountered was instantly showing me their bare feet. I could tell it was a man's by the hairy legs and toes, too. They were standing on top of their desk with their camera pointed straight at their ingrown toenails. I was frozen by the sight of it.
Skip!
I had no idea what to say to something like that, so I didn't say anything. I didn't skip, though. I was hoping it would go somewhere entertaining. And I was more than used to seeing exposed ugly people, since that sort of thing was oddly common to see on Omegle. After a long, awkward silence, I tried to open the conversation. Hi.
Well, hi there.
Nice feet.
Thanks, I've been told.
I don't like this.
Can I see your face, sir?
Only if you let me show you my special talent.
You have a special talent? Sure, man, bring it on.
Splendid. Stay right there. Don't you dare click skip. You got that?
Okay. A split second later, the stranger put a watermelon-sized glass jar down the desk between his legs and shouted like he was pretending to be a magician or something.
No.
He then said,
I call this act one man, one jar.
No.
Are you ready to see my contortionism demonstration?
Sure.
I said, are you ready to see my contortionism demonstration?
Oh, God. Please don't tell me this is going where I think it is. And as this parasocial weirdo, I feel like he should know where this is going. As someone who spends all their time on the internet, you should know where this is going. Oh! Skip! Please! What is he doing? Y'all know what that is? One jar?
Huh?
I'm gonna let you find out for yourself.
Yeah, man, do it. All right, brace yourself.
The man then put both his feet in the jar. Then, he crouched down and stuffed in his legs.
Oh.
I watched in awe as he squeezed his entire body into it.
Oh,
until
wow.
it was completely inside the jar.
Oh my God.
His face was visible, but was completely smushed up against the glass. And I could finally see his face. He looked to be some balding middle-aged guy living in a drafty old apartment. Then, with his one free arm, he reached over and grabbed a lid and somehow managed to put it on top of himself.
This is Cap.
Closing the jar with his entire body sealed inside. I couldn't tell if the pressure was distorting his face or if he was just crazy, but he smiled at me very disturbingly, like he was waiting for me to applaud. I didn't have any words. I couldn't comprehend how a grown man had fit himself into something so small.
Well, what do you think?
That's very cool, but can you get out?
Can I get out? Of course I can get out. Watch.
That's when he tried to push the lid off, but as soon as I saw it not move, the man's smile started to slowly vanish from his face. I knew something was wrong. He kept trying to push himself up to get the lid off his back, but he wasn't able to budge it. He was too tightly packed in there to maneuver.
Oh
He
my
couldn't get
God!
any leverage from the position he was in. All of a sudden, panic was written all over him. His face turned red and puffy, and he frantically tried to move whatever he could. But all of it barely amounted to anything more than rattling his cage. Quickly, it started to seem as though he was having trouble breathing, too.
Help me! I can't move. I'm stuck. Oh God, I'm stuck. Help!
I don't know what to do.
Get me out of here, please!
How?
I don't know where you are. Tell me where you are and I'll call the cops. After the reality had set in that he was completely stuck, the panic had turned into utter despair. He was sobbing incoherently, completely incapable of forming words. Tears and snot and drool streaming from his face and down inside the wall of the jar.
What is your location? Tell me!
I'm in my apartment. Please come find me. Please. Come find me.
What's your address? Please, that's all I need to know and you'll be okay!
Skip!
damn it, man, focus! No! No.
It only took me a second to realize what I had done. I became so panicked and frustrated that I accidentally pressed the skip button when I banged my fist on the table, causing me and the stranger to be disconnected forever. I'll never be able to properly describe that sinking feeling I felt in that moment, knowing I had just doomed that man to his unusual fate of slowly suffocating, trapped, alone, unable to move. My hands were shaking uncontrollably. I didn't think there was anything I could do. If I called the police, they wouldn't be able to find him since I never heard his address. I didn't record any of it, and there's no way of knowing where somebody is from Omegle. Without a better idea, I swore to never go back on there. I tried to forget that I was ever on Omegle in the first place. I actually got drunk for the first time that night, in hopes that I could go to bed and sleep without much trouble. But God knows, even after all these years, there's nothing that will get the image of that trapped man in a jar out of my head. It's been haunting me for so long. Every day I wonder what happened to him, if anybody ever came to rescue him, or if those moments he spent with me over the internet were his last moments with anyone. These days, I remember one man, one jar as a friend.
What? Oh my god! That is not where I thought that was going at all! I thought they was talking about the 2 girls 1 cup challenge where they was boo-booing in the jar and eating it. No! You know what I'm talking about? Dirty! I thought he was finna boo-boo in the jar, stick his hand in there, and take a big mouthful.
What?
This man put his whole body in the jar? Cap! I would never believe that! They talking about true horror stories. Cap! Ain't no way a grown man, a grown human, got their whole body inside a jar. I can't fit my foot inside a jar. He got his whole body in there. You better stop playing. What? And who does this dude think he is? Talking about, I feel regret for not being able to save him. Da-da-da-da-da. My name's not Superman. I can't save him. Skip. Wow. That would've been my reaction. He shouldn't have put himself in the bottle anyway. Or the jar or whatever. That was like anxiety inducing. My heart hurts. Why did he do that? True Omegle Horror Story 2, narrated by Bounded Imagery. Catman.
Back in 2014, I experienced something I still can't explain. I was still living at home at the time as an only child. I didn't have many friends or any hobbies to speak of, so I spent most of my free time surfing the internet and looking for...
We're only like 10 seconds in, but are y'all noticing a trend? A common trend. All these people that are on Omegle are weird and lonely.
Oh!
Somebody get them some friends. Go outside. Like, how are you friendless and think, next option. Omegle.com. Let's talk to strangers. Fall off a cliff.
or anything that could hold my attention. On the weekends, I would wait for my parents to leave the house. Then, like most teenagers, I would use the alone time to browse through more devious content.
What is he talking about?
This unexplainable thing happened. I was getting up to the same thing I always did. When I was finally home alone, I closed my door and drew my curtains, turned the lights off, and grabbed a box of tissues from the bathroom, in case I got a runny nose while I was watching what I was finally able to watch.
What are we watching?
My parents said they would be gone all night, so I knew I could stay at it for as long as I wanted. Of course, that meant that there were quite a few soiled and crumpled up tissues tossed into the bin. But after a couple hours, I was pretty much drained and bored of just watching stuff by myself like I did every weekend, and I was starting to wish I had someone to talk to. Unfortunately, as I mentioned earlier, I didn't have very many friends, and certainly nobody that I could call close. The handful of people I could think of to text never even read my messages. So rather than beg the people I sort of knew at the time to talk to me, I figured I'd have better luck with strangers. I had already known about Omegle for some time by then, mostly by watching YouTubers exploring all the different tags you can add to your search for new friends, but I'd never used it myself. I didn't have friends because of my social anxiety,
them are good topics.
and that bled over to video chatting too, which I wasn't super comfortable with in the beginning, especially since they were all strangers. But it was better than tossing tissues all night, and I figured there was no way I'd ever see any of the people I met more than once, let alone run into them in person, so I gave it a shot. Obviously, just like anyone else would see, my initial experience on Omegle was getting flooded by a bunch of creepy old men asking for my ASL. I skipped over all those guys, and it really felt like I was trudging through an endless ocean of them.
What is
Even when I found
ASL?
somebody who looked decent, I would get skipped by them.
No.
It was only my first time on Omegle, but if it was supposed to be a place where you could talk to people, then that night was not a good night for it. All the freaks and weirdos seemed to be out, and I was starting to lose hope that I would ever find anybody of interest. I thought...
Well, obviously, by his facial expression, you can imagine what he just saw. But that's besides the point. I was finna say, what did he expect? What do you expect? You're getting on Omegle at booty call hours. It's 3 a.m. You think you're gonna get a normal person at 3 a.m.? All the normal people, first of all, aren't on Omegle, and if we are on Omegle, it's not 3 a.m. We're asleep. I have to work tomorrow.
Thought about calling it quits, but then I felt like giving it just a few more tries. That's when I encountered the most unusual thing I'd seen all night. Whoever or whatever they were, someone or something, they were creepier than any run-of-the-mill offender on Omegle.
Skip.
I was immediately so petrified by the image in front of me that I couldn't even click away from it. I just kept staring at the screen, trying to figure out what in the world I was looking at. I couldn't tell if they were wearing some kind of mask or a bunch of weird makeup. They barely looked human, and if they were severely deranged. If I had to describe him, it looked like a male figure with deathly pale skin, dark sunken-in eyes, and a strange scraggly haircut, like they were halfway dead and already starting to decompose. Then, out of
Meow.
the blue, the man started meowing, like he thought he was some sort of catman. It creeped me out, but I was still suspecting that I was getting pranked somehow, although I had no idea how any of this was supposed to be funny. Hello? What's up with you? Why don't you talk like a normal person? After I tried speaking to him, my computer screen started glitching out, and that's when the catman jumped from the seat to the desk, landing backwards on all fours like it was about to start spider walking in front of the camera like the possessed girl from The Exorcist. It happened so fast that I flinched and fell off my chair, but I continued to watch from the floor, completely awestruck. The catman stared right into the camera, except his face was upside down now from the position he was in. He was still meowing too, which just added to the uneasy feeling that was building about this whole situation. I'd seen so many horror movies, and it felt like any one of them could come true at any moment. I half expected him to crawl out through the screen and reap my soul. What the hell do you want? Why are you doing that? Do you think this is funny, sicko? He didn't seem to care about what I said, and if he did, I think it was only upsetting him, because it was then that his head began to twitch as he slowly craned to the side until it was totally horizontal, all the while shrieking with one long meow, opening his mouth wider and wider to the point that it looked like he had inhumanly large set of jaws. What the hell is the matter with you? Stop meowing at me! I was horrified by whatever was about to happen next, but then the glitching in the screen got worse and uncontrollable, and eventually froze, blocking up the whole computer and forcing it to crash. I breathed a deep sigh of relief that the computer shut itself off. I was still dumbstruck in the darkness and sitting on the floor, so I have no idea how long I would have let that go on before I came to my senses and
Stop! 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 You would have thought someone was in his room holding him back. You would have thought he was strapped down at his arms and ankles, couldn't move with his eyes forced open.
Help me!
Proper reaction! Why are you meowing? Why are you... Best Buy, how can I help you? Yeah, I'm just checking to see if my PC is still under warranty. There was an accident?
Get that psycho. I eventually picked myself up and left my computer alone for the night, deciding to get some sleep and see if I couldn't forget the whole thing, or at least put some mental distance between me and it. It was difficult to get to sleep after being so shaken up, but I did get there after calming down for a little while. The next morning, things almost seemed alright. I could still vividly remember the strangeness of the catman, his annoying meowing and corpse-like appearance, but other than that, everything seemed normal. That was, until I stood in front of the mirror before stepping into the shower and noticed the deep cat scratches all over my body.
Cap! Ain't no way! Ain't no way! Ain't no way that's true! Ain't no way! What? That was a demon? It be demons on Omegle? Hey, boy. I don't even know how to explain that one. True Omegle Horrors 3. Narrated by Bound and Imagery. Cry me a river.
Till this day, I still have nightmarish memories of something that I saw on Omegle in the winter of 2016. I was a sophomore in college at the time.
Ugh, look at his face.
Home with my parents and not on campus. That year in particular, I was stuck inside for all of winter break because we were experiencing one of the worst snowstorms the area had seen in years. Since the conditions were too unsafe to go anywhere, I spent most of my time studying for online courses. My schedule was loaded with so many classes, which wasn't the best for my ability to develop social skills or make friends on top of everything else. And
it's a
like
trend.
Most guys, the thing I looked forward to most about going to college was meeting girls, but I wasn't getting to do any of that. So,
I mean, you're ugly.
when I heard about this thing called Omegle, a website where you could randomly meet strangers, I was desperate enough to be very interested. I understood from the person who told me about it that it could be a little weird, so I waited for my parents to go to bed before trying it. My laptop for school was super cheap and didn't have a webcam, which meant if I actually wanted to talk to people, I had to use my parents' shared desktop computer in the family room. I didn't want them or anyone else in my family walking in on me talking to girls, so I decided to wait it out. Around 2 in the morning, I finally snuck out of my room and hopped on the computer to try my luck. To my disappointment, the first 20 or so people that I encountered were all just weird-looking dudes. A lot of creepy old men who I skipped right over. Sure.
If they're creepy old men, right? What does that make you?
Bruh.
Because you're looking for the same thing they're looking for. You're weird.
Jocks who just wanted to talk about sports, and some geeky shut-ins like me who I skipped even though we might actually have a lot in common. I was on a one-track mind to use Omegle to meet girls. Unfortunately, the first few girls that I did get connected with skipped right over me when they saw that I was just another one of those geeky shut-in types. Admittedly, that stung every time. The endless skipping went on for 20 minutes before I finally got connected with a girl who didn't immediately reject me. I felt a little pit in my stomach form when she popped up on the screen, but it wasn't because I was nervous.
She ugly.
She looked really sad about something. She was just a normal-looking blonde girl wearing a tank top, and like most other people on Omegle, sitting in complete darkness, except for the light coming off her computer screen. She was a bit hunched over with her hands, supporting her on the desk right next to the keyboard. She wasn't necessarily the best-looking girl, but I definitely wasn't about to skip her.
He's thirsty. Wasn't the best looking, but you know I'm not skipping her.
Yeah, that brother's starving.
The only girl that had even given me the time of day the whole time I'd been on. And even if I only got to see her upper body, that was going to be more action than I'd get anywhere else. I actually was a little bit nervous though, because the first thing I did was awkwardly wave. Hi there. She waved back, but she didn't say anything. She still had that super sad, kind of weird look on her face. It seemed like she didn't want to talk out loud, so I tried introducing myself in the chat box instead. Hey, I'm Justin. What's your name? When I looked up from the keyboard, I was caught off guard by how close the girl suddenly was to the camera. Her eyes were wide open too, like she was making a surprised face.
Back
except
up!
her mouth was still closed.
Skip!
Hey, is everything okay? Then, without breaking eye contact, she started typing so frantically and loudly that I could hear it over the microphone. The whole time, she just stared into the camera with these huge bug eyes, not even blinking, just typing away at a robotic speed. All I could
Drugs?
see in the chat box was the stranger's typing message for the longest time, until she finally hit the send button and dumped the entire message.
Cry
at
with
once.
me.
I was put a little on edge when I read it, because all it said was,
Can you please cry with me?
over and over and over again.
Huh?
I didn't know what else to do, so I quickly replied back with a yes in the chat, and as soon as she read it, she began to cry. Then, I actually tried to make myself form tears for her. It was super uncomfortable though. I couldn't bring myself to do it no matter how hard I tried to squeeze my eyes for just one single tear. But she kept getting closer and closer to the camera, until all I could see was a close-up of the snot coming out of her mouth, oozing down her face with all of the tears from her.
Is that chin hair? My bad for getting off topic, but I'm not even convinced that's the lady anymore. She got more chin hair than me. Stop it!
Eyes pouring over her mouth, which for some reason she kept shut tight, despite having to blow snot out of her nose just so she could breathe.
That's
I really
disgusting.
thought she must have been going through something really tough. So tough, I felt like she shouldn't cry alone if she didn't want to. And since I couldn't cry with tears, I started fake sobbing and wailing a little bit, but quietly, so I wouldn't wake up anybody in my house. I felt embarrassed, like she could tell it was all fake. After a while, I couldn't take the awkwardness anymore, so I pretended to wipe tears from my eyes and typed another message. Hey, are you okay over there? Why haven't you said anything? Do you want to talk about why you're crying? Suddenly, it was like she flipped a switch and wasn't sad anymore, but excited. She stopped crying, but didn't bother to wipe anything off her face. With a bit of a smile, she started to type again, not looking at the keyboard. A few seconds later, she sent a message that read,
Do you want to know why I had my mouth closed this entire time?
I was almost too scared to say yes, but I really did want to know.
She don't have a tongue.
Yes,
Her tongue gone.
why? That's when I saw her read the message, then look into the camera. For a moment, we stared at each other in silence. Then, the little smile on her face got bigger, as if she was holding herself back from laughing. But before she couldn't hold it any longer and finally opened her mouth, a swarm of bugs began to crawl out of it, covering her entire face. I screamed from the top of my lungs, immediately shutting the screen off and holding down the power button on the computer until it was completely turned off. My parents were awoken and upset that I was on the computer at this time of night. All I could do was attribute the shouting to some random jump scare video I watched on the internet, but
Ain't he a little too old to be getting in trouble for being on the computer? That boy is a sophomore in college, 19 years old. He's borderline a grown man. The only thing they could be getting mad about is being woken up. They talking about they mad because, not because he was on the computer. Wow.
What?
I deserve this one. They talking about they mad because he was on the computer at this hour, not because he woke them up. What? Trash.
since then, I acted like what I saw that night never happened and never thought about going on Omegle again.
He's weird. Wow. So that's it. Well, what did we learn today, guys? I'd say we learned that if you go on Omegle, you're weird. No, bro, like that's the common trend between all these dudes. They're all weird. They're all weirdos and they're lonely. Parasocial maniac? Huh? Excuse me. Anybody that self-identifies as that is no kin to me. Sorry, sir. We can't be friends. Bye. Like, I would have skipped every one of these situations immediately. I see a girl looking weird, first of all. If she's not at least a 6, I'm up out of there. Skip. Wow. And do y'all think these are true? I'm not gonna lie, I don't know. If this is true, that's crazy. You know, I don't deny there are ghosts out there or anything, or there's demons, but this is some demonic stuff. The girl opened her mouth and it was roaches in there. You know how long you gotta not brush your teeth for there to be roaches inside your mouth? You got maggots living in your gums. What? No, I'm good. Boy, that was actually good. I'm not gonna lie to you. I know I'm saying like I'm not intrigued, but I mean like I'm not intrigued to try this myself. I don't mind watching it. I'll watch you do some dumb stuff, but best believe I'm not doing it myself, so. Dang. That was 3 true Omega horror stories animated. Which one was the scariest to y'all? I'm not gonna lie. Scariest to me. The cat one. The cat one. The way the screen went static and then he popped up, that actually scared me. I actually jumped and farted a little bit. I hope y'all didn't hear that. Bruh. But yeah, I mean, that was the scariest to me out of 3. Y'all let me know in the comments which one was the scariest to y'all. And y'all know if y'all enjoyed the video too much, just subscribe. We know to 10,000 subscribers. And hit that like button if you enjoyed the video. Could it just make sense to the like button if you like the video? No. I'm a parasocial maniac? Skip!